Oh, you guys are here. How's everybody doing? Uh, I'm doing fantastic. My co-host should be here any minute. He, of course, I have no idea where he is. I just took him home, so I know that he's home safe and sound. But where he is, I don't know. But we'll just roll along without him. So, evening, Eldor. Howdy, Cobb. Hi, Carol. And Fat Red Foo, what's happening? And what are we looking at here? How we doing, Luke? Huh? I don't know what's happening.
Huh? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What am I looking at?
Nowhere.
It looks like a dark alley to a place that I don't want to go to.
It's just Walmart.
Just Walmart? Oh, you're at Walmart?
I was.
Cobb says he doesn't trust you in a dark alleyway. I wouldn't either, Cobb.
It's good. It's a good way to be.
Maddie, what's up, my man? Maddie just got back from a excursion to England, I believe, recently, in the last couple weeks.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So how are you today? I haven't seen you in forever.
I have to warn you. I'm only going to be able to be on for like half an hour.
Why?
I got to go to sleep.
Why do you got to go to sleep?
I don't know. Tired.
Don't be a wuss.
No, I'm so tired, man.
You owe me an hour.
Nap. I have half an hour.
Hi, Allison. Thank you for joining us from the kitchen. Is there anything good for dinner? So, did you get anything good this week?
Nothing.
You didn't get a Ryu or anything?
Don't know. I never heard of that.
No?
Nope.
I'm going to show off a couple things that I got.
Alrighty.
I got my Cosmic Legion. I could say his name, but I don't remember what it is. And right before the show, I was moving his wrist and it broke. So that kind of sucks, but that's an issue that we discovered over the weekend. Thanos had the same problem. Roman the dog's here to see us. Any alley cats where you're at, Luke? Roman wants to know.
I killed them all.
That's kind of boring. And of course, where's this guy? This guy here is here, Mr. Wonderful. Yeah, Eldor, this is a great alien head sculpt. I don't know if you picked up any of the Cosmic Legions. I know you have some mythics, but that is a great alien head sculpt that guy has. I absolutely love it. And let me hide Mr. Wonderful's comment here since he's telling you that you're a jerk. And I picked up this guy, the Headless Horseman. Great looking figure. Only problem with this guy is that they put a really thin wire in his cloak, so it doesn't hold up as nice as I would like it to, but I will figure out a way to remedy that. These comments are just going too fast. I can't even keep up.
I love you.
Yeah. They're all talking to each other, not to me. They're all saying hi to Roman because, he's the star of the internet lately. Dude, wake up. Get an energy drink.
Oh, no, I don't want to.
Coffee.
I won't sleep
Well, you
at
ready
all
to run? What's that?
I wouldn't even sleep at all tonight if I drink another.
Are you going to go to the gym at 3 a.m. again?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Anyway, I'm going to fill up my cup of coffee, and then we'll run through the news real quick.
Sounds good to me.
And then we'll dive into our topic for the evening. But I got to have the coffee. I sat down to do Oz's stream Saturday night, and I had my thermos and my coffee cup over in the kitchen, which is totally unacceptable.
Jeez, not okay. That's not okay, man.
Like never too far from my hand. So, all right, let's do. It is time for news from the crick.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So first,
No,
Toys announced a red tornado. Did you see this, Luke?
no, but that's awesome.
Yeah, red tornado was so cool. I love the little tornado effect at the bottom that he's standing. Awesome. It looks like, from what I've seen in this last wave, that McFarlane's doing some little bit different stuff with his articulation. So might be even better than they've been. You know, some of them have trouble standing up all the time.
Yeah.
And then the guy on the right is called the Valiant Knight from Mythic Legions. It's their new body style that has better articulation in the hips, knees, and elbows. So looking forward to getting that guy. Hopefully Holodope will have him next month or so. Well, I think they get
sick.
I think they get the appreciation wave, but the next wave of army builders or whatever, all stars. That's what they're called. The all-star wave in January. So they're supposed to be getting that when they get that. So I'll be picking him up. Pretty cool knight looking figure, and he's got the better articulation. So that'd be cool. And then, of course, the big news of the weekend, the bear.
The bear.
What an awesome thing. It's just so sad that it's going to be like a year and a half to 2 years before we even see this guy.
Well, you can go out in the woods and see it for yourself. So
I know I could, right? Wouldn't be quite as brown, a little more black, but it'd still be all right. And then this guy on the left is Atlas, who rides the bear because he is the leader of the Noble Bear clan. But yeah, Mythic Legions had their Legions Con over the weekend. And if anybody wants to know anything about that, just go over to Brick Something's channel, because him and I did 5 hours on Friday about it. We streamed about it on, I think Aaron and I talked about it on Friday night on his show. And then Saturday we talked about it on Oz's show. And then on Sunday again, Brick Something, Oz, and Thanos Copter and myself did a Legions recap at the end of it all on Sunday night before Holodope. So
not a Legions recap.
Yeah, a Legions recap. Yep. There's a lot of good looking figures that came out of this wave. I didn't grab all of them, just
for sure
a couple, but really liking the bear, the dwarf 2-pack, a couple of the other figures. And announced on Wednesday or Thursday last week is the Void from
the goofy
Sparrow Toys, part of the Animal Warriors Kingdom, is now available for pre-order at hellodopetoys.com.
Woo!
So there's a lot of good Sparrow news out of the Legions Con as well. They showed off the next wave or two of AWOC figures and a new IP that they're going to be working on that is called Dan Mitchell's Bushido Samurai and Folklore figures, which are all samurai-based figures. Look really good.
And folklore.
I didn't see anything about the dates or anything like that for them. So, but if they're anything like the articulation on the AWOCs, those figures are going to be amazing.
They look so cool.
Yep. In other news, Chun-Li should be arriving tomorrow from Holodope Toys as well.
Awesome.
And Mr. Briscoe's here. How we doing, Briscoe? And Ramen Toys showed off their bread van, which is essentially the 18 van, which, oh yes, it will be coming into my grubby little hands.
For sure.
This thing is just awesome. And it's only like when he said when he does the initial pre-order, it's going to be $99 or something like that.
Oh, that's shipping, pretty good.
Of course, but it's just basic. 2 seats in the front, steering wheel, no lights or anything that light up or anything, but the side door opens and the back door is open. So, and it's going to come painted, I believe, just like the 18 van with the red stripe and all of it. So
very nice.
That's got to come to my house and live with me. Fat Rafu says, yeah, it looks awesome, but he wishes it was at 18th. I know there's a lot of awesome things coming out right now that are or you wish you were on 18th, but I'm going to have the Dodge Charger from Ramen Toys. That's going to be done up just like the General Lee. And then I'll have this 18 van. All I'll need is like a Night Rider, and I'll have the, vehicles from the 80s and 112 scale, except for maybe Airwolf, but that'd be a pretty big helicopter. And then this week's shout out from the crick is for Ms. Allison Troy, the Retro Toy Princess.
Woo!
She does some awesome colorings on the weekend with a bunch of people from the toy community, and other days of the week she has longer videos of her coloring and does a short every single day. And she's also on Instagram under the same name. So Allison's awesome. Go ahead and give her a like and a follow and all that fun stuff. And that is it for the news, Mr. Alley. You still awake?
Almost.
Almost? All right.
I try my best.
There was a time 2 months ago that you never got tired. What happened to that?
I didn't wake up at 3 a.m. that day.
You're getting old.
I might be.
I was up at 4:30 this morning. What are you talking about? And I'm old. I'm not tired.
You probably napped at least like 4 times microscopically
I did not nap
throughout
today.
the day.
I did not. I was not able to because
You had your 3 microscopic naps.
My microscopic naps when I was driving.
Yeah.
I would take your sister up to the doctor's, and then I had to deal with you all after that. So no nap today. I didn't get my old man nap in at dinner time like I usually do.
You micronapped on the toilet.
I do micronap on the toilet. It's very common. Carol says she's getting old. I know the feeling. I figured, though, by the time I was 50 that I'd feel a lot older than I do. So I guess that's...
You got 17 minutes left on your timer, man.
Oh, shut up.
Time's running out. I got it. I'm so tired, I actually might fall asleep right here.
Well, fall asleep. It's okay. So we're talking about elves tonight. So give us the lowdown. Give us the history.
What do you mean?
You said you knew the history of elves, so let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the history of elves in the Norse mythology.
Okay, in Norway in the year 13 BC, there was a man named Losiflar, and he was out in the woods one time and he saw a bright light in those trees. And when he walked into the trees, he couldn't find a bright light. So he went back and told his buddy Bork, and he was like, "Hey, Bork, I saw this weird light." And then they realized that there were these weird creatures that lived out in the forest called elves. And there were 2 types of elves. There were the Losjalfar and the Doklofsjalfar. And the Doklofsjalfar lived in the mountains, and they were a kind of more of a dwarf kind of people, and that meant dark elf. And the Losjalfar meant light elf. And they were these beings of just like kind of that weren't really elves that we see nowadays, but more like angels and more like bugs in a weird sense. They can't actually really understand the exact description because there's many different descriptions. Some come from Iceland and some come from Norway. It's kind of interesting, but
so were they more like fairies or more actually like just like anthropomorphic type of creatures?
Yeah, we don't really know. There's multiple different accounts.
Okay.
Some say that they were more like fairies, and some say they were more like people. We're not really sure. Yeah, but they come from a land called Elfheim, and also Dark Elfheim, and the two.
So
different
let me
worlds.
ask you this question: in Norse mythology, right? You said the one type of elf looked more like what we consider dwarves nowadays, right?
Yeah, the dark elves.
But weren't the dwarves that we consider nowadays like the ones that made Thor's hammer and Odin's spear, and they were like the sons of something?
No. There's there's dwarves and there's elves.
Yeah, but weren't the dwarves called the sons of something?
No.
No.
There are no sons of anything. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I thought that's what they were.
The Sons of Skyrim.
No, I thought there was a name for them. No, I got to look.
Stormcloaks.
But anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, well, the dwarves and the dark elves are often debated as if they're even two different separate races. So scholars wonder, oh, is there actually two different separate races, or are these just two different names for two different things? Because in Norse mythology, there's a lot of different names for different things. So they're not really sure if Norse mythology has two different separate elves and dwarves, or if dwarves and dark elves and dwarves are just the same thing, but just under different names.
Okay.
I've
So
never heard of anything called sons of.
I'll have to figure out what that was called. But I heard something about that. The people that made Thor's hammer and Odin's spear, and possibly the ship that Freyr, right? Freyr had the ship that could go as fast as possible on the sea. Then he could pick it up and put it in his pocket. That
Okay,
was
but
a gift to him from Loki. That was all made by these people. I'll have to figure out what that was. But anyway, go on with the elves.
okay, well, I don't really know what you want me to talk about after that.
Well, that's Norse mythology. So what about other
Well,
mythology?
something cool
Or
about
did
Freyr. If we're going to talk about Freyr, I'm pretty sure Freyr was the king of the elves, king of Alfheim, and he was given Alfheim on his birthday from the gods, and he was the king of the Alfheim world. Okay, what next?
uh what next? What about the elves in Iceland? What do they look like?
Okay, well, the elves in Iceland are very different than the elves in Norse mythology, but a lot of what we believe and what we think about Norse mythology, well, the elves and most of Norse mythology in general comes from Iceland. So we, the
What we know
Icelandic elves,
nowadays mostly comes from
yeah,
Iceland. Okay.
yeah,
So like the
the
Christmas elves?
Icelandic elves are very Christmassy. They're very small, little pancake eating cookie makers that wear shoes and special Smurf hats, and they sing songs and dance around in fields and stuff. And they're said to be cursed, and that they curse people. There's also a story about that if you go out at night when you're pregnant, and like if you find an elf, they'll help deliver a baby, and then they'll steal your baby. Or if you help them deliver one of their pregnant babies, that the elf will give you special gifts or kill you. They're very mischief makery, very uh fairy, fey, kind of chaotic creatures.
And they don't like you trespassing on their land, right?
I don't think they really care. Just don't hurt it.
Right. Damaging. That's what I mean. Not really trespassing, just messing with it.
Yeah.
And it's true right now, right, that Iceland still has areas of their wilderness that is actually preserved for the elven population. Yeah.
I don't know about right now, but at some point, like in the recent history, there was.
Yeah. So going back to the dwarves in Norse mythology, they are called the sons of Ivaldi. They're the dwarves that Loki has make the golden
That's not
threads.
that's not the name of an entire race of dwarves, though. It's the name of the
Just
few
that.
dwarves.
Oh, just the ones that make
Yeah.
the special stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was curious about because I heard that and I was like, I thought they were called something different, like Freer, Far or something, Frere, whatever that name is.
Freyr.
Falflar.
Falflar.
Yeah, Alfalfa.
Alfar.
Alfar. Yeah. So the elves that come from Iceland are actually what most people associate with like the Christmas elves and
Yes.
mischievous elves of today's.
We don't really get a good definition of elves in any of the Norse mythology, the real Norse mythology that we can really understand, because most of the elven stuff that we get in, because we only have like two actual main texts. It's the the Poetic
The Edda.
Edda and the Prose Edda.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because
one of
most of the
them,
Norse stuff never found or was destroyed or went. It
yeah,
was like just disappeared. Right, there wasn't really much written history for the elves. Hold
yeah.
on a second. Let's say hi to Mr. Largo.
Woo!
My internet connection is craptastic, but wanted to say howdy. Need to put some more corn on that wheel for Eduardo to run faster, get that energy going. What about the elves that come from Melmac? That's where elf comes from.
Yes.
That's pretty funny. So those guys look like overgrown teddy bears with a long nose, Eldor. You probably don't have them in Eternia.
They're scary.
Largo says the Fey folk stole his socks.
It was just me.
Better your socks than your hat.
But anyway, so what was I saying? Someone.
We were talking
Okay,
about the
yeah. So
Icelandic elves.
the poetic and the
Now,
prose are the only real like two sources that we have that aren't really from. uh Okay, so we have the Saxo
they're both
Grammaticus' history of the Danes, and then we have uh a lot of stuff from Iceland, and then you
right.
have prose and Poetic Edda, and those are like the main sources that we really have about any history from Norse mythology. And the
Right, and
only thing
those
that we
were
really
actually
get,
the Eddas were actually written after the Norse people had actually
well,
like
the prose Edda was.
yeah.
The Poetic Edda is still debated on whether it was or not. But
Okay,
we we only really get a description of the elven like language sort of kind of thing feeling. So it talks about what they say and how they like call things. So like instead of the wind, it's like the world whisperer, and instead of the sea, it's like the god tears or something like that. I don't know. It's something like that. They are very nature oriented, kind of like the Avatar people from the Avatar movie, the blue people.
so
But we
they'd
don't
be
really get
kind of
a
like
good.
a woodland elf in Tolkien's world.
I wouldn't even say that. I don't think they would even be associated with that. They're
Okay,
like even more weird
so
because the
they're
description
more
that we let me look up the description.
okay.
Well, you can keep talking while I'm looking this up.
Yeah, I'm just reading the chat. Eldor says they have all sorts of kinds of elves in Eternia, so he might have an elf from Melmac there too.
Very cool.
Yeah. So most people in today's world know elves just from like the Christmas or the Keebler elves, which, those are really two kinds of elves that were brought into folklore more out of just stories than actual reality. Except for the Christmas elves, of course, because Santa Claus is real. That one's for you, Eldor. Is there underpants gnomes in Eternia? I hope not, because most people in Eternia just run around with nothing but underwear on made out of fur. So hopefully there's no gnomes stealing their underpants. Did you find it, Bubba?
Not yet.
All right. The funny thing is that there's basically uh, descriptions of elf-like creatures in a lot of ancient mythology. Now they weren't always called elves. Like there's ones in Hawaii. I can't remember what those are called, but basically elf-like creatures. Uh, there were some in Old English mythology, and there's something over in, I want to say, Australia or New Zealand, that is also an elf-like creature that has a different name, but I can't remember what it's called either. Now Eldor is singing the Tom Bombadil song. Still no luck? Or did you fall asleep on me?
I'm looking.
Okay. So what kind of
Okay,
elves?
so apparently the only thing that we're getting is that the elves are more beautiful than the sun. That's the only thing I can find on this. But I know for a fact that it describes them as very
for
interesting.
Norse mythology?
Yes. Okay. So what are you asking?
No, I was asking if that was what you were talking about still. For
Yes.
Norse mythology, they're more beautiful than the sun.
Yes.
And from what you remember, they were more tied to nature than what other ice.
They're more divine as well.
Okay.
They're not like elves, as in like just these things that for some reason live forever. They're like almost gods themselves. I think they might be considered gods.
Okay.
I think they might actually be tied in like the Aesir.
Okay, so there's like a lesser god.
I don't know if I'd say lesser god, just a different form of god.
Okay. And yes, that's another thing. Like in Ireland, they have the leprechauns, which are essentially elf-like creatures. So
In your mirror, you have a little person.
what's that?
You have a little person in your mirror every time you look in it.
Yeah.
Because you're short.
The elves in New Zealand are called. I can't even say that. Can you say that?
Pataparle.
Patupalarehi. Parlarehi. I don't know what that word is, but that's cool. Thanks, Eldor. Yeah, it's just funny that like that type of being has been described in all these different ancient mythologies. So there's got to be some truth to it, right?
Maybe.
Have you ever seen an elf outside of TV?
Every time I look in the mirror. Every time I look in the mirror. I saw a leprechaun.
Yes, you did see a leprechaun.
I don't know if I saw an elf. I'm just very tired.
Oh, Eldor sent me the link to the info, so we look it up and see.
Look up what?
So, I'm going to look up what Eldor sent me for the elves in New Zealand.
Oh, very interesting.
Are you interested?
I'm always interested.
All right.
All right.
Now, if I can just get to open. This was sent to us from Eldor. Thank you, sir. From Wikipedia. The
Patapulare.
Yeah, are supernatural beings in the Maori mythology that are described as pale to fair-skinned with blonde hair or red hair, usually having the same stature as ordinary people and never tattooed. They can draw mist to themselves, but tend to be nocturnal or active on misty or foggy days, as direct sunlight can be fatal to them. They prefer raw food and have an aversion to steam and fire. They can be hostile to humans, especially those who intrude on their lands. They are believed to live deep in the forest and hilly or mountainous regions in large guarded communities, though their buildings and structures are invisible to human eyes. The music of their bugle and flutes, along with their singing of waiata, occasionally reveals their presence on foggy days. The music of these elves is described as sweeter than the music that Maori could play. I don't know who Maori is, but according to the most traditions, the Maori are able to converse with them.
The Maori
are the indigenous Polynesian people of the mainland of New Zealand. Okay, now I know that. I knew that sounded familiar, but it just wasn't.
I don't think you knew.
It wasn't hitting. The synapses weren't firing.
You good? Did you forget how to speak?
Nope, just reading next. And another little known term for the Patuparahihi was Pakahakiha, which has been suggested as a possible origin of the word Pakiha, used to refer to the Europeans. It has been theorized that when the first European explorers clashed with the New Zealanders during mid December of 1642, they may have interpreted the newcomers as the New Zealand elves. Interesting. Thank you, Eldor. That's some good information. See, that's a man that did some research on a topic he said he knew everything about.
What,
And
the
Ted's here.
Wikipedia person?
You better act right. Ted's here.
The Wikipedia person did the research?
Yep. So we have elves in a lot of stories, right? In today's fantasy novels. And they all have different, similar, but very different backstories and appearances. So what type of elf do you think is, like, what type is your favorite?
Favorite, or do I think is the most realistic?
Answer both.
Okay. Well, I like Tolkien's elves, specifically in the Silmarillion, the most. That's my favorite. And then most realistic compared to like the descriptions that we have, probably the one from God of War.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I know, but somebody will. I hope.
So why do you think that one is the most realistic?
Well, you should
most realistic to Norse mythology?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are not anything like elves in our world. In like our modern reality.
Current reality of what we consider an elf.
Your half an hour is up.
Oh, zip it.
I'm so tired.
You can go a little bit longer. Then I'll let you leave.
Okay. I'll give you 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm really being like captive here, guys. Save me.
I really like all the elves in Tolkien stories, of course. But yes, the ones
I feel like there's a big difference between the elves in the normal stories and then the elves in the Silmarillion. If you look at those elves in the Silmarillion, they were like battling each other.
Yes.
Epic romance stories and this like knights and these warriors, and then you get into Lord of the Rings and it's like, oh my god, I'm so sad. I live in my castle all alone. My name's Thranduil and I have no one that loves me and I want my diamonds.
Yeah. So the elves in the Silmarillion were and I think Tolkien did that on purpose because
100%.
in the Silmarillion, that was at like the high peak time of the elves, right? That was when they were ruling basically.
Yeah, it was the time of the elves.
Right.
The age of the elves.
When you get to the Lord of the Rings, they're on the decline already. And I think part of that, part of that was they knew their magic in the world was fading and their time in the world was fading. So the only way you could paint that depressive, looming feeling to them was by making them be that way, right?
Yep.
And it did a good job, right? I also really like the different elf races that they have in the Dragonlance novels. I found those, that they have the Dagonesti, the Sylvanesti, and then there's another one. And of course, they have sea elves and everything else in Dragonlance, which were all really cool. None of them very realistic, but all very cool in their own right.
I try my best not to see elves. I feel like that's usually what happens when you die.
Probably. So if you had to choose between an elf and like some other mythological creature, what would be like your favorite?
Stop messing with stuff.
What, am I moving something?
Yeah.
Oh, I keep bumping the table, that's why. Hold on.
Oh.
What's up, Ostradamus, you asshole? Thank you, sir. Don't forget to slap that like button for Luke, everyone.
Yeah, definitely me. I'm the one that needs that like button.
I told you he was an asshole.
All right. I think elves are my favorite, obviously. They've always been my favorite. I like elves a lot. Elven history. the Elven language. There's this a Swedish language. There's this city in Sweden that's named Elfland. It's like something in Swedish, but it's named not Swedish, but the language. And it's said to like the language that they speak is completely unique compared to like everywhere else around it. And it's said to be the language of the elves that used to live there.
So it's called Elfland in that language, of course, right?
Yep.
Not
Land
our
of the
language.
elves, something like that.
Yeah. And the language is said to be from the elves that used to live there, or is it
Yep.
called that because of the elves that used to live there?
No, the language is said to be from the elves that they used to live there.
See, that's just so interesting. I find like all that stuff really just mind blowing because if you think about the fact that like Iceland, we know Iceland at some point in time, and probably still does, had actual wild lands preserved to not interfere with the elven folk, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have places like Land of the Elves that uses the language and names itself that based on the elves that used to live in that land.
Yeah.
It's just, I find all that stuff so fascinating that countries, right? It's just like there's states in America that have actual laws on the books that outlaw the hunting of Sasquatch. It's,
Uh-huh.
I think it's so awesome that there are still people out there that appreciate the fact that whether we've actually seen one or not, they could very well be real, whether that's elves or Sasquatch or whatever, right?
I feel like people often forget the fact that like 90% of our uh legal scripture is like referencing God in some sort of way. So if you really want to act like the government doesn't believe that there's something out there, you just
Well,
kind of are ignoring this obvious
yeah,
signs.
we would hate for the government to be hypocritical now.
Yeah, well, they don't keep secrets for sure.
That's right. Um, yeah, I really like elves, but I would say my favorite's probably more dwarves than elves.
Well, just so you know, in case you wanted to know, 90% of your dwarf material comes from elves. So they're very highly believed that they're the same thing.
Just different races of them or whatever.
Not even races, just like names. I mean, yes, there's the dark elves and the light elves, but even the light elves are thought to be just like light dwarfs. Because the thing is that Freyr, it has nothing to do with the idea of elves. And so Freyr is the god of like fertility and like kind of just harvest, and he's the
Yes.
man's man god.
Yep.
So he was given Alfheim as a present.
He's the
And
man's man as opposed to the
yeah,
ladies' man.
yeah.
Hi, and
But
welcome to the ladies' man.
I mean, he rode on a pig. Like he had a metal pig that he rode around on.
On a
And
metal pig?
yeah, those dwarves that you enjoyed made for him. There was two made, and one was given to Freya, and was given to Freyr. And I think his was a
So
pig, and hers was
who's Freya?
Freya's his sister, the goddess of. She's thought to be also related to Frey, who is Odin's wife, but there's that's a big debate and also, and so she's like the goddess of stuff. They don't really have like specific things that they
Right.
are. They're just kind of people that do stuff. Like she
Did they
has this
live in
ability.
Asgard or did they live on one of the other planets?
Asgard is only the hall of Odin, and she has her own hall that fits. So what happens when you die is that she's kind of the leader of the Valkyries, and she's not though, but like she's kind of like a leader of the Valkyries, but
Frey or
not
Freya?
really. Freya.
Okay.
She's like what happens is that she gets her own picking of the people that die, the spirits that die on the battlefield, and then brings them into her hall that I don't remember the name of. Each god has like their own hall, and then after you die, you can go to like Odin's hall, or which is Asgard, or her hall, and then like they split it 50-50 for the end of days. That's when Ragnarok's gonna happen, and like she gets the valiant warriors, and so does he. It's really all about the things. I don't know. They choose. But yeah, Freya has like this. She's like she's a goddess of like fertility, and also she has this whole side that's about mystical magic called Sather, which is female magic, and that's pretty interesting. So like Odin at some point wants to learn Sather so that he can actually like figure out more about the future and all that. So he becomes a woman for a little while and studies under Freya and learns
Huh.
Sather.
And Odin gave up his one eye, right, in order to be able to have the wisdom of knowledge or something, right? Wisdom
He
of
hung from the world tree, pierced by his own spear for some amount of time, and gave up his own eye in order to know that. No, the eye that wasn't related to that. He hung from the world tree, pierced by his own spear, in order to learn the runes, and then he gave up his eye in the well under Yggdrasil in order for so that what's his name, Heimdall, could stay awake or something.
and what's Yggdrasil?
The world tree.
The tree of life.
Yeah, the thing that connects all of the thing that the ladies, the web of weird, carve all of fate into.
And so Odin, was given
Yes.
the runes.
Well, he kind of wasn't really given them. He earned them by piercing
By
himself
hanging
for
from his own spear.
many days. Yes.
And so then he gave the runes to the Norse people.
Yep.
Interesting.
Because Odin was obsessed with seeing the future and learning about Ragnarok and all that.
Okay.
And
So
just
he
kind of
wanted to know
learning
when
in
that
general.
Ragnarok was happening, or
Yeah, he was just a very big fan of knowledge and knowing stuff.
So Eldor says Japan had a legend of dwarfish-like beings called the Dropa, said to have been beings that came from another planet that crashed on Earth and lived out their days in Japan. I've heard of them. Have you heard of them?
No.
Yep. And yes, they came from the planets in the Sirius constellation and had settled in the region after being stranded by mechanical problems. Yes, I remember that story. That was on an Ancient Aliens episode that I watched once. So a lot of the stories that are dwarves related and elves related are basically really intermingled into more of an elfish mythology. We just separated them in our over time. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not according to Tolkien.
The Dropa. I don't think that the Dropa are Japan.
Yeah.
No, because all I searched up Dropa Japan, and I'm getting Tibetan Highlands.
Is it Tibet? Maybe it's Tibet.
I think it's the Tibetan area.
Is Tibet part of Japan? I don't know.
No.
I don't know my Asian culture.
That's kind of sad that you would think Tibet is part of Japan. Japan's an island. I'm getting stuff about China. Aftermath of the crash in the Sino-Tibetan border region. These conclusions were from Sum Nui in an academic journal, but were met with ridicule. Thun then left for Japan in self-imposed exile and died shortly after. And the Dropa are Dropa stones that are purported pseudo-archaeological artifacts that are claimed to be a series of 12,000-year-old granite discs with inscribed markings that represent an account of extraterrestrial crash landing on Earth.
Yeah, it says that the Dropa are nomadic mountain people of Tibet.
Yeah, I don't think Dropa is a Japanese word. I don't think Japan has DR as a sound.
And of course, yeah, China and Tibet, maybe that's probably more like it. But either way, it's still pretty cool that they are.
Oh, it's very interesting. Race.
And we have a newcomer who I cannot read.
That's
their
a
name.
Hebrew name.
There is a similar stuff in Japan. Okay. Don't know who you are, but thank you for coming in. Where are Snap, Crackle, and Pop from? They are from the same race as the Keebler elves. Like Buddy the Elf says, there's 3 jobs that an elf can have. You can either protect nature, like the woodland elves. You can make toys for Santa, or you can live in a tree or in a cereal factory and make cookies and cereal. Yes, that's what we were just discussing, that there's stories like that from all over the place. And yes, internet searches don't really show much. Yeah. Eldor says, yeah, one of those 2 places on Earth over there. Exactly. So, anything else you want to tell us about elves?
No.
No.
I'm not just gonna tell you about elves. You guys need to earn it. You know.
We need to earn it. What would you like me to do? How can I earn knowledge?
You gotta ask the questions. You gotta ask the questions.
Oh. So, how do you think the Christmas elves that you said are related to like Icelandic elves, how do you think they got related to Santa Claus? Because Santa Claus is technically what?
What do you mean?
Like, where did Santa Claus originate from?
Santa Claus? That's an actual thing that I know, and I've completely forgotten what it was. So the idea of Saint Nick, he is not actually it's like a pagan thing.
Yes.
Saint Nick isn't actually pagan, but Father Christmas is an actual pagan idea. And the elves are something I think related to like magical spirits that would follow around this guy that would like deliver candy to children in all the villages. And it wasn't toys, it was like candy at first, and sweets, cakes.
Yeah, they have what is that name? I know the name. Hold on a second. Just a second, I'll find it.
Okay. Well, I don't really have that much time.
You got plenty of time.
You just say stuff like that. You don't know that.
I know.
You don't know anything. Just make things up.
Entertain the people while I read real quick.
No, you're going to just have to sit in silence and deal with your own inability to Google search.
Yes. Google search.
He takes forever. This is what it's trying to like have a conversation with him. He has to Google search things in his own brain. Oh, let me Google that for you. No, I wouldn't like to go to Walmart. God.
You're going to Walmart?
No.
I thought you were going to bed.
I thought you were going to find out what we're talking about right now. I don't even know what you're Googling. What are you Googling?
I'm Googling something.
Just ask me the question.
What are the elves called that are with Santa Claus?
Christmas elves. Keebler elves.
No, there's a special name for them.
No, there's not. That's not a thing. They're called Christmas elves.
There's a specific name for them.
He's making stuff up. I think this guy's got dementia.
Nope. It's from German paganism. Germanic paganism. That's what it's from. And
okay.
There's a special name in that language that they are called. And I don't know what it is, though, because it's not on here.
Okay, can we just move on from this random tangent that you've randomly gone down?
Yes, move on.
I'm not moving on. This is your podcast, man.
Don't call it my podcast. It's only my podcast when you're too tired to play. Nice.
Nope, not true. It's never
It is
my
true.
podcast.
You're a bad
Not my
child.
podcast ever. Nope. You
uh,
spell elves wrong in the
now it's
title. It
going to
says
drive me
Evs,
crazy with their.
Eves.
What's that?
Your title is
I spelled
Conversating
something
about
wrong?
the Eves of the World.
Yeah, you know.
Get off your phone.
It
You're doing a
happens.
podcast. Get off your phone. Get off your phone. Guys, look at this dude's
All right,
etiquette.
I'm
This
off
is,
the phone.
do you see? It says
If
Eves of the
Luke
World.
leaves, I vote Eldor joins the stream. Luke ain't leaving until we're done.
I'll leave whenever I want to. Do you
Show
see that it says
Elf
Eves
on
of the
show.
World at the top of the screen?
Yeah, you know I can't see, so try writing something when you can't see. Jeez. Anyway,
Jeez, me. I'm
moving
not the
on.
one who wrote Eves.
I will find out the name of those Christmas elves, and then I will put it in the comments after I research it later and fix.
No, he won't. Don't
fix
get your
the
hopes up, guys.
Eves.
He's not going to do that.
See, I'm not crazy. This dude even right here says, I think there is a specific name for him.
There probably is, but I don't really understand how that's relevant right now.
If not, he'll make one up. I like this guy. What's that? How is it relevant? Because I was trying to say that like there's a history of how the elves that we know as Christmas elves nowadays is tied to the pagan origination of Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, you could just say that.
Yeah. And I was trying to think of the name because it's in the brain, but it's not coming out, right? The synapses don't go from ear to ear. So,
okay.
Anyway. So there's a whole bunch of different versions of Santa Claus as well, right? Because some versions consider him to be an elf, right? Other ones considered him to be a man who, like you said, handed out candy to the children. Right?
If you want to say that.
And then, of course, we have like Papa Noel from Spanish-speaking countries and Popo Gigio from some other places. Carol, don't help this young man out. He doesn't need any help. Anyway,
someone needs to help this old man out. God, he does.
I'm struggling today.
Someone
all
needs
right,
to help him change his diaper.
That's what I invited you over for dinner for. Pay you for when I get a little older and you got to change my diaper. Anyway, moving on. It's getting close to Thanksgiving and to Christmas. And what would you like to talk about next week for our topic?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Let's talk about the nothingness of reality and the emptiness that is the universe.
Wow. You want to go that deep?
I don't know. No, I mean, we can also talk about cheeseburgers or something.
Yes, I do know that, Fat Red Food. But I was trying to type fast because I was supposed to be working and I was playing. Anyway, next week is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then we have a few weeks, right, of, let's see, December 5th, we will not have a show because that's the day I will be traveling to Pennsylvania. So there won't be a show that day. And then we have the 12th and the 19th before Christmas. So we have 3 shows before Christmas.
I don't know if there is Thanksgiving, Lord Ted. Is that a thing? I'm pretty sure the Thanksgiving lore is like pilgrims came and learned how to make food.
So the pilgrims came, they took over the Indian land, forced the Indians to show them how to make food, and then they brought the Indians in for publicity photographs, sharing the dinner with them. Right? That's how it went.
That's what you want to say, man. I'm not getting involved.
Oh, that's a good topic right there. Talk about the nothing from the never-ending story. Did you ever see the never-ending story?
No, never.
Never? Damn.
Never in my life.
Now, there's got
That's
to be
just
some
what's
wild
that
story
movie
about
called?
demonic turkeys or something.
What's that movie called? The Jim Henson movie with the puppets?
The Labyrinth?
No, the turkey one. Turkey Hollow.
Oh, Turkey Hollow. Yes.
Let's go watch that.
That would be a good one to watch for Thanksgiving. Turkey Hollow and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles are like the only two Thanksgiving movies I can think of. Anyway, anybody else besides Briscoe and the Never-Ending Story have any topics that we should discuss for next week? This
We
level
should
of
talk about the
reality is
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion. I thought we did the Silmarillion already.
What?
Falkor. Yes, Falkor is awesome.
When did we do the Silmarillion?
Didn't we do Tolkien? Or am I dreaming something up?
I think you're dreaming stuff, man.
How long have we been doing this podcast? Do you know?
No idea. I just kind of show up here, man.
I know. I've noticed. Oz would like us to talk about buttered sausages. Or maybe that's a Thanksgiving thing for him. I'm not sure.
I don't really like sausage.
You don't like sausage? No, you don't.
I love sausage.
Those
Just
sausage,
a good kind of sausage.
You make some good Italian sausage in the air fryer. Mm. Remember we had those Italian ones in the air fryer made that one time?
Yes, I remember everything.
Not my jam.
All right, next week we're going to be doing the Silmarillion.
Okay.
Hope you guys enjoy.
Are you going to get rested beforehand so you can actually discuss it?
I'm going to get arrested beforehand so I can't even be there.
Oh, you're such a pain in the ass sometimes. You're lucky that I love you.
We're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
That's where he comes from.
The mysterious children, green children of the Woolpit.
That's you.
A good story.
That's you. I know. You were part of that.
That's my DNA. I love that story, though. Pretty cool. Anybody that doesn't know that story should go look it up.
Don't look it up. You're going to be put on a watch list.
Green children of Woolpit. Interesting story. Butter sausage is greater than Wicked hot dogs. I don't know what a Wicked hot dog is.
It's just a German person saying wicked.
What a wicked hot dog. Hey, Thanos. Glad you made it. I was just showing this off earlier, and I was messing with this dude right before the podcast, and his arm broke just like yours did. So I had
just like he broke my heart.
Just like I broke Luke's heart.
It's hard having to be born to such a horrible father.
Probe. What's that?
It's hard having to be born to such a slow father.
I didn't used to be slow. I gave it all to you.
I stole all your energy.
Yeah. All right. So next week we're going to do the Silmarillion.
Okay.
And then the week after that we will be off. So no show December 5th because I will not be.
I'll be here by myself.
Yeah. Unless Luke does a show by himself or maybe has Mr. Wonderful or Briscoe on with him. But I will not be there because I will be driving.
Sounds good to me, man.
And Matthew showed up. And so then maybe on...
You sure you know how to drive?
I'll probably crash, but I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll get a chauffeur.
Hitchhike on the way there or something.
Yeah. So like maybe December 19th, we'll do a Christmas show. How's that sound?
I love Christmas.
Me too. And then December 12th, we'll figure something out before then because that gives us... Oh, we have a show on the 28th too. I forgot about that one. But next week, we'll do the Silmarillion. So that
sounds good.
November 21st is the Silmarillion. So if you guys have any other topics that you would like us to discuss, as you can tell, we will discuss anything in depth or just not in depth at all and just randomly talk out our butts. So
that's what I did this whole time. None of the stuff I said was real.
Yeah. Thanks, Thanos. I'll try not to crash. I was hoping you'd pick me up in your Thanos copter, but after seeing some of the pictures you posted on Instagram, I'm not sure if I want to ride with you. Excellent. Yes, Thursday night, I will be on Punks on Film with Matthew, since Lawrence is traveling this week. And we will be discussing the film Silver Bullet, which anybody that doesn't know, Silver Bullet is about werewolves, as you would think. Not the movie The Silver Bullet about the train.
Freya has this necklace called Brisingamen, which has almost kind of like the swords glowing blue in the Lord of the Rings. Her necklace actually like magically glows when I think when danger's around.
So it's like Frodo's sword or Bilbo's sword.
Yeah,
who's carrying it at the time. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But his is
And
only for orcs, right?
She has a chariot pulled by cats.
By cats?
Yeah.
That is awesome. I would love to see a chariot pulled by cats.
Yep.
That's as much fun as watching a dog sled get pulled by chihuahuas.
She has this cape that's made of eagle feathers, and it's magic, and she can like turn into an eagle using her magical cape.
So she's like Tila from He-Man.
No, I think Tila from He-Man is like her.
Right, exactly. Oh, look at this. Tony, what's happening? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. You can't see what they pulled down. Yeah, right.
This Ed, guys, I gotta be real. This Ed trying to have a full-on conversation on our topic, and all I get is, so he's like this from this person, and then he goes and looks at his phone. This is not how to have a good co-host, guys. I can't even have a conversation with this guy. And who's the tired one here? Jeez.
Just making it in. Turns out Lawrence turns out Lawrence upset some toy tuber enough to do a video about him. Well, hopefully it was a good video. Anyway,
I'm gonna make a video about action figs and why he's not a good co-host on the podcast.
Oh, you're only doing this now because you're finally waking up, catching your second wind.
Oh,
damn it, Larry. Anyway, so what do you want to discuss about the Silmarillion? Because that book is long and in depth. So should we?
Why it's so good and why people should read it, even if it's long and in depth, and why it's the best fantasy novel of all time.
Okay.
Because it is.
Yes, it is. I was just saying we can't really go into depth like individual characters and everything else.
Well, we're going to talk about Finrod and Fan.
Yeah, the main ones. But I'm saying you could go on forever about the Silmarillion, really.
I mean, we can talk about Fingolfin and, you know, all the other ones that I'm not
Fingolfin, Finrod, and Elrond. Not Elrond. What's the
what?
I forgot the guy's name.
There's a lot of guys. I can't help you.
Yeah, but Elrond keeps popping in my head, and it's not Elrond. It's the one I have the book about. Him and his wife, and I can't remember now. I can't think it all today, obviously. Pulled by hyenas. That'd be cool to have a chariot pulled by hyenas. Lawrence, man, you hit the big time now. Yeah. That book is pretty epic. Thank you, Headache 79. Nice for you to show up. I appreciate it.
Nope. This is a lie. This comment right here is a lie. It's not.
Ooh.
Nope.
Well, I guess it depends on how you're looking at it, right? Because the Silmarillion is a better book. The Lord of the Rings is an easier book to read and understand.
Yeah. I mean, the Silmarillion is a better story in general.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's a better story.
The problem people have with the Silmarillion is it's very difficult to read the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
It's a hard book to read. A lot like I really didn't get a full understanding of the Silmarillion until probably like my third or fourth time through it, when I knew a lot of the language and I knew a lot about like the actual characters and the history. So luckily almost every version of the Silmarillion you get has a glossary in the back, so you can go back and reference what each of those words are. But a lot of people struggle with the Silmarillion for that reason, so they don't get to enjoy it because they haven't read it enough.
It's not, Matthew. It's really not. Like, it's a full story that if you listen to it, you can understand the story.
Yeah.
It's definitely 100% a
I
story
mean, if we're
about.
being honest, the only thing that ever came out of Tolkien himself that's actually a story from the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit thing is actually the Hobbit. Because
No,
Lord of
no,
the Rings,
listen. The Silmarillion is a story about an elven family going through the struggles of Feanor. Okay, so it's about the sons of Feanor after
right?
Feanor's collapse from his madness into the
Yes,
darkness after Malcor takes on the like his whole mission to get rid of Feanor so he can get the Silmarils. All right, so Feanor's sons, the sons of Feanor, have to move because they have this whole issue with all of the other elves, and then they have this big war, and then they have to deal with the collapse of all the elves and kingdoms. And then they go through a war, and there's a lot of battles and struggles and strife. And then you get to actually find the beauty of like this world, even though all of this war is happening. And then Finrod dies. Okay, and that's a beautiful part in the book. And if you don't like the part where Finrod dies, you have problems.
I love the passion. I do. I would say that out of all the Tolkien stuff, my favorite book story is the Silmarillion. The one I've read the least because it's just a hard read, but I've read all of them multiple times. So, but yeah, I enjoyed the Silmarillion very much. So,
If you can piece the story together itself, that's the problem. Yes, it might not be like written as a story.
right.
Like it might not be written in like the traditional sense of a story, but it's definitely a story,
It's a
a
bunch of short
coherent story.
stories that make an overarching story altogether.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Sherlock Holmes, right? Sherlock Holmes is a bunch of short stories, but it's one story.
But it's still a story.
Yep. Which we should do an episode on Sherlock sometime soon.
Okay. Anyway,
Sherlock is awesome. So
I
anyway,
think it's time we end.
yes, we will do Sherlock Holmes, and Matthew said it because it's a compendium. Yes, it is a compendium,
But it's a story.
but it doesn't make it not a story. And Fat Rafu says, "Oh my, yes." All right. So next week is the Silmarillion, and then the week after that we'll do Sherlock. Sound good?
Also, the words compendium.
What'd I say?
Compendum, com,
Yeah, you know, I can't talk, I can't read, can't think. I'm just fried. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I work from home, so I had to actually get up and go do something today so that, you know.
Are you
What
going
is
to
the
read
larger
that?
body of work?
Yeah, there
The
you
Lord
go.
of the Rings is actually the largest body of work because it's 3 actual novels of, 300 plus pages a piece. So,
Yeah, if you want to say something's a compendium, Lord of the Rings is also a compendium because it's 3 different stories put together.
exactly. And it's actually more than that because it was compiled by Christopher out of a bunch of stories that his father had written. So that's what I'm saying. Like the only true individual story that was ever written by Tolkien is The Hobbit, as far as that world goes.
Okay, well, goodbye.
All right, everybody, thank you for coming. Thanks for showing up. Next week we'll be discussing Silmarillion, like I said, Thursday night, Punks on Films with Matthew on Matthew's channel, and I think Punk's channel. I'm not sure if we're going to be on Punk's, but definitely Matthew's channel. And then that's it. So you want to play us out, Luke? Everybody
3,
have a great
2,
night.
1.